talk about TACKET agreements, because Darrell Brooks Jr. was all about the TACKET agreements. I accept for value, I return for value. He really believed that he was entering into a contract pretty much with everything that he did, every document that he accepted, every motion he conceded. Are you asking me or are you telling me? He believed that it was all a TACKET agreement. Well, welcome to TroofTV, where we tell the truth as it is, because I really believe that if you can't hear the truth, you really don't have a place to ask for it either. But this channel isn't just about the train wreck that was Darrell Brooks Jr. This channel will also talk about things that are trending. It'll talk about other cases that just make your freaking skin curl, the hair on the back of your neck raise up like Suitcase Sarah. Honestly, guys, I don't know that I can cover that case. That's a really, really messed up case. Then you got Steven Lorenzo. That's another messed up case. There you've got a guy who is asking the judge to give him the death penalty because he's going to live better on death row than in GP, general population. And the judge knows that this psycho, this killer, is speaking straight up truth. And he is, because the reality of the matter is death row inmates, they're single-celled. They got their own TV, their own microwaves, their own, everything. They don't have to wait in line. They get their commissary. They get really the best of the best treatment, provided of being in prison. So Steven Lorenzo, who's guilty as sin, found guilty of killing 2 people over 20 years ago, is now going to live a better life than, Joe Blow working 40, 50 hours a week, because he's going to have health care paid for, take classes if he wants to, pretty much eat whatever he wants, lawyers to attend to his every need, probably file complaints against the Department of Corrections till he's blue in the face, literally, and then have a, tremendous amount of fans, because, these serial killers, spree killers, they've got fans. It's crazy. When the Gainesville Ripper, Danny Rawling, who brutally murdered 6 University of Florida college students. I went to University of Florida. He had Sandra London, a writer who was very successful at writing IT books. She gave up that career to write about serial killers. And she not only wrote about Danny Rawling, she married Danny Rawling, And this is a college-educated career professional in the IT world of the late 1980s, early 1990s, when IT was like so exotic, nobody knew what it was. Imagine with what she knew then, if she had just continued writing books, she'd be a multimillionaire today. But that wasn't what drove her. It wasn't, writing books about Windows or MS-DOS or word processing. Remember word processors? I had a brother word processor. She didn't care about that. If she could talk about... Now, when she was growing up, Sandra London actually dated a serial killer whose name escapes me now. But she lost interest in him when she came across Danny Rawling. Now, she went on Springer, she went on Donahue, she went on Rivera, and, people really did not like her. And because of the Son of Sam laws, she wasn't able to profit from it. But even without profiting from it, she was just all about it. What's going on, Alex? How are you? I hope you subscribe to TroofTV. Let's get the word out about TroofTV, because over at Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube and Everything Else channel, everybody wanted more of the Brooks stuff and more of the trial stuff, the paparazzi stuff, the stuff that really honestly is a little bit too edgy for those channels. Well, here it is at TroofTV, so please spread the word. Give thumbs ups, give super likes, subscribe. That's so important. So, look, the Steven Lorenzo case is not as Well, I'm sorry. It's crazy because Darrell Brooks Jr. killed half a dozen innocent people, injured nearly 80, terrorized the community, but I can still talk about that to a certain extent because of the stupidity that he exhibited during the trial. But Suitcase Sarah, who killed one person, is just, to me, so much more difficult to talk about because she watched her boyfriend die in a suitcase. She laughed at him as he died. I can't, that's the one case that I just have so much trouble talking about. And I know that you guys want me to talk about it, but I just have a really hard time with it. But you know what? I'm going to force myself out of my comfort zone and talk about it. The Alex Murdaugh trial, I got to tell you, that's a very, very interesting trial. Let me make sure my microphone's still on, because that trial honestly deserved a retrial. Not because he's innocent, because Lord knows he's not, but because of that clerk. That clerk basically infected the jury with her bias. And that's like rule number one. You cannot do that. I mean, if it's not a fair trial, what is the point? You know what I mean? But even still, the judge was just adamant about Alex Murdaugh not getting a retrial, and he didn't get one. Now, he may still get one if if he keeps appealing or somehow, or he keeps trying to. I don't think he can. I think it's done for him, but it's just interesting because to me, and I was kicking myself because I was like, now this guy's going to get a retrial, and if he gets a retrial, see, the biggest mistake that he made was testifying. He was a very, very accomplished personal injury attorney. What's going on? Enoch34, I hope you subscribe. Can I have a shout out? I'm new at live streaming. Of course, Mean Gorilla, most definitely. I hope that you subscribe to TroofTV. I hope that you give a thumbs up. And if you're new to live streaming, always tell people to give thumbs ups. Always tell people to subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and always tell people to leave comments as you have done right now. And then you always have nosy people like this guy here. They're like wondering, what is this guy doing? And so they're just driving around, just kind of trying to scope out what I'm doing. But it is dark. I'm actually going out for my walk. I'm in here at the Paddock Shops in Louisville, Kentucky. And I live about 4 blocks that way. So I'm actually walking around the Paddock Shops. And right now it's empty, sort of. But it's a really, really nice sort of outdoor plaza. So absolutely, yeah. Like, for example, I'll tell you something. When live streaming, it isn't really the most, like, I've noticed that they don't give you the same amount of love as, say, when you do a regular video. So the pecking order would be regular video, live streaming, shorts. A lot of people don't do shorts because they just, they get the views, but they don't get the comments. Sometimes they don't see the subs. If you're monetized, you want to monetize, you can monetize after you've hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 viewed hours. It's not that hard to do. It'll take a little bit of work, but it's not that hard to do. But the thing is, you want to mix it up. So if you have a YouTube channel, what you want to do is you want to mix it up. So you want to do regular videos, you want to do live streams, you want to do shorts, you also want to put up posts, and you want to do collabs. And a collab is basically where you work with like one other channel or multiple channels on one project, like one video, or maybe you have a collaborative playlist, for example. But what YouTube really likes to see is you mix it up and then try to come on different times. What's going on? And then also look at your analytics. Your analytics are going to show you what countries are viewing you, what genders, like male, female, age groups. So you want to be really, really up to date on all that. So for example, I've got 9 or 10 channels, and I try to do a channel for each like sort of interest in my audience. And this right here, TroofTV, actually I started with everything else. So first I started with Sight Sounds Flavors, which is a tourism channel, but then it got kind of too bogged down with the Waukesha trial stuff and the Alex Murdaugh stuff. So then I started Everything Else channel, thinking that I could put it there, but Everything Else channel is supposed to be everything else and not just one specific thing. So you know, I've got all these channels, but this one right here is going to cover the trials that, you know, I really don't want to talk about extensively on any particular channel. It's going to talk about TMZ, paparazzi stuff. Like, for example, my video with the two Karens at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, the old Karen and the young Karen battling it out. It got 14.5 million views on TikTok, over 5 million views on YouTube. A video like that would go straight to TroofTV in the future. So, yeah, so Suitcase Sarah is not really a case that I want to talk all too much about, but I will. Alex Murdaugh, I will. And now I think the big ones, a lot of the big cases that a lot of people want to hear about as well, involve celebrities. The celebrity interest has always been through the roof. So, you know, there's a lot of those, and there's a lot of celebrities that honestly get preferential treatment. You know, we often hear about the double standard in the United States. You experience it in other countries as well. Western Europe, you know, there's a few countries where you might see it, like Britain. In Britain, the celebrities get treated like gold. But ideally, everybody should be treated the same. But you look at someone like O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson wasn't treated just like everybody else. It wasn't because of race. It wasn't because of the riots. It wasn't because of the price of rice in China. It was because he had a lot of money. He was able to assemble a dream team. And that dream team was able to just, you know, annihilate, you know, Marcia Clark and her team. Even though they were really, really good attorneys, you know, money talks and bullshit walks when it comes to lawyering and legal defense and putting on a formidable defense to even the most serious of charges. And that's why, had Alex Murdaugh not testified, that Harpootlian guy was very, very, very gifted, and his whole team were very gifted, they might have been able to get him off. Even though he was guilty as sin, they might have been able to get him off. But his mistake was he testified because he thought that he was that, you know, brilliant personal injury trial attorney who could convince juries to pay out huge settlements that he would later steal from his clients. But he could convince them that he didn't brutally kill his wife and his son in the dog kennels. And because he testified, he really set himself up because he put all his credibility on this farce that he was trying to perpetuate. And then when the Snapchat video came out that nobody, especially him, didn't think that the prosecution had, it basically threw his whole timeline in the trash and made him to look like a complete liar. And by that point, his ship has sunk. So had he never testified, it would have just been one more piece of evidence, and that would have been that. And Harpootlian and crew would have been able to downplay it and do damage control and do such a good job the jury didn't think twice about it. But once he sat in that witness box and people saw him for what he was, a murderer, an embezzler, just a spineless human being, he was done, he was cooked. And then, just to make sure, that clerk was infecting the jury with her biases, and it was over. But in any event, we had a nice amount of people come in, and I hope that you guys will check out the video on replay. And, you know, true to the title of the video, you know, we hear a lot of terms from Darrell Brooks Jr. like rush to judgment, you know, fast maneuvers. But one of the things that I think we heard of the most were these quote-unquote TACKET agreements. Because remember, a lot of what he learned from sovereign citizen mumbo jumbo, which, as we saw, I know, you know, but especially after Waukesha trial, doesn't amount to a hill of beans, is that a lot of it is contract based. So he would always say TACKET agreement, I accept for value, I return for value, and look where it got him. He wasted a lot of time, and honestly, I don't know what was a bigger waste of time, the talk of the TACKET agreements and the straw man and the plaintiff has to be a human being, or him building a castle out of file boxes only for the sheriffs to dismantle at the judge's command.